And welcome into another episode of the Pain and Panic Podcast. Adam Sheets, Chris Reynolds. In today's episode, outside of me trying to make as many New Year's jokes as possible, we're going to have a lot of fun today. As you know, Chris, it's been a long time. It's been a year since I've seen you. So.
I know,
Yeah.
Adam. I knew that was coming. I'm very excited to talk, though. Last week, you know what? It was kind of a weird week. It was week 17. I'm mostly using it for fantasy football, but most of my matchups were like kind of out of my hands. I wasn't able to watch, which was terrible.
You're in the big city. You're in the big city.
I was the Big Apple, as they call it. No football energy there right now. Not anything.
The Pinstripe Bowl was electric.
Yeah, there was college football energy. There was no NFL energy, but no, it's very busy time of year. And the last time we talked was right before Christmas, so we have a lot to catch up on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a while. We've only posted one episode since we did. I did one just really recapping the division races. A lot to go on. We actually get an exciting week. I was getting a little worried in week 17 that everything would be decided and there'd be nothing to watch for, but we actually do have some games to watch, which should be exciting. So yeah,
shout out the Browns.
Shout out the Browns. Big win.
And I'll say this too, Adam, for all of you listeners that have been watching. You're like, Christopher, get rid of this just terrible setup behind you. It's a closet door. It's an old John Wall picture from a magazine. Santa was good to me this year. We got a lot of stuff for the podcast. We got a camera. We got lighting equipment.
Ooh.
We got some decorations, and we're going to get a new setup here. So be on the lookout. Next episode, we're probably going to have an actual better setup.
Dang. Wow. Something to look forward to.
Pain and Panic 2026 on the rise. Here we go.
Getting into the playoffs, and we got something to look forward to. I love it. All right, so today, Chris, I'm going to give you all the credit. This was your idea, and I loved it. So I'll give that credit. We're going to do all quarter-century teams.
Woo! Adam, I love coming up with ideas when I go to sleep at night, and this was the one that was staring at me. I'm like, it's New Year's. I was like, maybe New Year's resolutions. I'm like, no. It's the quarter of a century.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call it in the Hunger Games? Like the quarter quell?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, whatever it is. Big deal. Tell them what we're doing, Adam. I'm so excited.
All right, so it's an all-quarter century team. So it's kind of how it says, last 25 years. So since the year 2000, we're going to go into the NFL and the NBA, and we're going to name our all-quarter century teams. So in the NFL, in the NBA, it's kind of easy. There's 5 positions. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I honestly did not even make a list for NBA because I just can think off the top of my head very easily.
The NBA top 5 was really easy for me. So.
Yep.
I tried to find some honorable mentions to mention, but so the NBA top 5 is easy. But for the NFL, here's how we're going to do it. So we're going to have quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, 1 O-line, 1 D-line, 1 edge rusher, 1 linebacker, 1 corner, 1 safety, 1 specialist. We are going to go 2 receivers just to add on, and we'll talk about some other guys. We'll discuss how we're going to pick our all-century team. We have a lot to choose from, so we'll do that. Also, because we don't want to be completely recency biased, but we do want to get some of the current guys in there, we also would do a 2020s all-decade team like halfway through. So for the first 5 years of the 2020s, we'll do an all-decade team.
Yeah.
So that should be fun. So, Chris, we're going to start in the NFL because there's more to talk about in the NFL.
Yep.
More positions, more players. So we'll start there. We'll go from the top down. So we'll start at quarterback, Chris. This is tough. There's a lot of great quarterbacks. There definitely isn't one that won 7 Super Bowls. There definitely isn't.
No. Honestly, this list was really boring for quarterback because I was like, I love 5 guys, but there's one clear answer, and that is the one, the only, the GOAT, Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. One quarterback who probably his peak or like his actual best probably wasn't even the best that we've seen, but one that was in a, great situation early on, won 3. Later on in his career, he gets a lot better, I think. Like when he's actually, his best, the team actually wasn't as good, but then wins 4 more. Tom Brady, most winning player, and, he also has longevity and, a very high peak, and he did probably the most in any career.
Yeah, he also has every record in NFL history.
He passed Brees on all those.
Yeah, he played a little longer. Played to 45, oldest quarterback to ever start. So it's just great. Tom Brady, so it was easy. So he made the quarterback position boring. But some guys just to talk about.
We have to mention some of our favorite quarterbacks. We had a very lucky era of QBs.
Yes, like this is kind of like in you're doing an all-decade team in the 90s. You're like, here's Jordan. But let's just talk about some of the other guys that were there. Let's just talk about like in the 2010s. Here, LeBron's the small forward, but let's talk about some of the other guys. So let's talk about him. So let's start with the new guy who a lot of people think could pass him, Patrick Mahomes. sitting there. 3 Super Bowls, multiple-time MVP. First bad season he's had really been this year. So he's definitely in that conversation. We'll talk about Mahomes more than when we get to the 2020s list. But another guy, a lot of guy that was kind of compared by Brady. Let's talk about Peyton Manning a little bit. Chris, what do you have to say about What do you have to say about Peyton Manning?
Well, first off about Mahomes, I think you can't put Mahomes there yet just because the longevity isn't there, but you could argue his peak was, but this is probably the worst anyone has ever felt about Mahomes, which I think is interesting. So, he kind of came at the perfect time to take away from Brady. But now, Peyton Manning, as you said, really probably the best quarterback during Brady's time, but he didn't beat Brady that much until he got to Denver, and then they had one of those wins and went to the Super Bowl, or made to 2 Super Bowls, but won one. But it was funny when Manning couldn't even throw the ball at the end. That's what his team won with Denver. I know he won with the Colts, but one of the smartest QBs we've seen. We don't see many QBs like that where they can just look. When you think about like processing quarterbacks, he's up there at top of the top tier. And yeah, you started in 1998, but like basically the 2000s, so take away 2 years, but still one of the best quarterbacks.
Well, if we go to the 2000s, you're taking away his 2 worst years. So I mean,
it doesn't hurt him. Like I know he didn't start in the 2000s, but basically the 2000s.
Yeah, it helps him a lot. So he was great. Like kind of always said, like he's your prototypical blue chip prospect that everyone loved coming out of college, and he lived up to the hypes. Had a phenomenal career, first ballot Hall of Famer, everything with Peyton Manning. So he would have been on here. Again, these guys kind of hurt by playing at the same time as the greatest quarterback of all time. Another guy. A guy who had all the records before Tom Brady took it. Your guy, Chris. Drew Brees. I'm going to pass the baton to you here.
Drew Brees was Tom Brady before Tom Brady when it came to this longevity and stats that are so absurd and higher than everyone else's. And every year, Brees was like ahead of Tom Brady when it came to like passing yards and touchdowns. It was always Brees was the statistical leader in those like early 10s, even like to the later of the 10s. Drew Brees' arm stopped working. He can't even throw a football now. But he was an indoor quarterback, which I know people like to use as a thing against him. But he was racking up yards, racking up touchdowns. The defense was usually not that good, but the offense was always great with Sean Payton. Statistically, I would say he was the best quarterback. And then Brady played for another, 3 years after Brees was done. So I think if Brees just kept it up 3 more years, he would have been better than Tom Brady in the statistical sense. But Brady was like, I won the most titles. I know I'm the GOAT. Let me just get my name at the top of every stat. Mm-hmm. So Brees probably number 2 on every statistical category.
And Brady retired Drew Brees. He retired him. He beat him in his last game. So
I will say that game was mostly Jared Cook's fault.
Yes. Yeah. No. Don't disagree.
I talked about this with Joe Tooman. Joe Tooman loved Jared Cook on the Packers, but I'm like, Jared Cook fumbled the ball to the Bucs, gave them the ball, and they scored. And then the next drive, bats the ball up in the air to the Bucs, who then returned it for a touchdown, and then game over.
Yeah, Drew Brees, the stats are absolutely phenomenal. Misses the postseason success, only has the 1 Super Bowl to compare to some of these other guys who have multiple Super Bowls, which I think holds him back sometimes when we talk about the great quarterbacks. I think he'd be right up there with the Montanas, the Elways, the Bradys, the Mannings, but it's just the 1 Super Bowl I think just kind of makes people hesitate. And another guy who's actually been thrown in these conversations more, I think it's just because everyone considers him this elite prospect, maybe the most talented quarterback we've ever seen, as a lot of people try to say, is Aaron Rodgers, who
That's the guy, Adam, we were talking about. Yeah, I had to have him on the list because I feel like Skip and Shannon Undisputed years ago was trying to throw this, Rodgers is better than Brady narrative just to, give him some competition, even though we knew that, there's probably better quarterbacks than Brady, talent-wise, but that's never been the discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers' talent is unquestioned, but again, he's kind of like Brees, where he won a Super Bowl, then hasn't been able to get there. He's had some tough playoff losses. Not all of them are his fault. Some of them are. It's tough to look at. And then, with the 1 Super Bowl. So, but the talent, the numbers, probably playing in his last year as we're speaking right now, going into potentially his last game this week. And we'll talk about Ravens Steelers when we get there. Brett Favre's not going to be in this conversation just because all his MVPs came in the 90s. His Super Bowl came in the 90s. So he's not in this conversation for the all quarter century team. Anyone else? I mean, Eli's got the 2 Super Bowls, but absolutely not in the conversation.
I
Big
mean,
Ben deserve a mention?
I would say Big Ben, Phillip Rivers, Eli. Where that next tier down, they're not going to be the face of this all-century or all-quarter-century team, but like very good franchise quarterbacks that held down the position for a team like in a very good way that gave you a chance to compete every year.
Yeah.
Worth mentioning because nowadays it's like some teams still can't go. And the Saints have been able to place Drew Brees for, like, what's that?
Retired in
7 years
2020.
now?
Yeah,
6
the
years
pandemic year. So
Oh yeah, 5 years now.
yeah, so most interesting there. But like Big Ben, I mean, then some of the young guys, Lamar, Josh Allen. We mentioned Patrick. Stafford's gonna have the numbers up there.
Yeah.
Only the 1 Super Bowl, though. Same thing in the struggles
Stafford's
in Detroit.
Super Bowl makes him enter this conversation, but without it, he wouldn't even sniff it.
Yeah.
Just the guy that needed a Super Bowl the most.
Yeah, Matt Ryan's another guy who put up big numbers.
Yeah, Matt
never
Ryan,
won.
I'd say in the Eli tier of like
Yeah.
that, but at least, Eli compared to these guys has 2 Super Bowls.
I think Romo's not in that
Romo, yeah.
conversation. Just trying to think of any quarterbacks. Don't want to miss anybody. Want to get? We're trying to spread the love. Russell Wilson.
We can move on because we know it's Brady.
What about
Always
Russell?
wanted to mention like that next tier of guys were so good.
Yeah.
We were very lucky to see them, and I feel like they kind of brought along this whole passing, splurge that
Do
we've
you
seen.
think Russell Wilson's in the Eli category?
No.
Because I think talent-wise he's there, and the numbers are going to be there.
Russell
But-
Wilson just flamed out so badly, it just really put
Yeah.
a bad taste in our mouth where we're questioning, like, you know what? He was the quarterback for maybe the greatest defense that we've seen. You know
He
what I
was.
mean?
Could have won
Like-
back-to-back Super Bowls. He had a great start to his career. Had some good years even after that. Like was near the
Wait,
in the MVP.
they didn't win back-to-back.
Went to back-to-back.
Oh, went to back-to-back, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, they definitely lost one.
Yes, they went to back-to-back.
Yeah.
He was really good towards like right before he left Seattle, where it was like weird that Seattle knows exactly when to get rid of guys.
They do.
It's weird.
Russell Wilson, probably the greatest, or one of the greatest running backs of this decade, and the greatest defense of the decade, and
Yeah,
makes me
gotta-
think a little differently of his success.
yeah, it's very true.
Don't want
That's
to
very
punish a guy though for having a good team, but
But you mentioned running backs. Let's go to running backs now, Chris.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys. The running back position, it's kind of different than it used to be. Like we were doing like the 90s and the 80s. We'd have a bunch of guys to talk about, just pure runners. We have to add in, pass catching and other things. So for running backs, a guy that's at the top of my list, don't know if he's near the top of yours, is LaDainian Tomlinson.
yep. He is also at the top of my list, but like he was kind of at this time where I was like not really in my football era yet of really understanding it. It was more of like by the end, like by me starting to get into football when I'm like 7, he was kind of at the end of his,
Mhm.
career. But he was obviously great running back. You hear about him like every time fantasy football comes up, you're like his name is mentioned.
Greatest
But I
fantasy
will say
season
out of
ever.
two of his great years were 1998, 1999. Then in 2000, his best or second best year, I guess, 33 touchdowns. That's absurd, but 49 touchdowns in 2004.
Yeah, that's the big one.
That looks like a typo. Like you look at his list and you're like, wow, what? And then it's like 49. That's
Mhm.
absurd.
Yeah,
Absurd.
He's special. He's special. Yeah, I put him on here. He won MVP, which is big. Non-quarterback winning MVP is huge. Now, he won it when running backs seemed like they were allowed. Like, Sean Alexander won an MVP. Sean Alexander is not on my list. I don't know if he's on yours. He's not on mine.
No.
Uh,
I tried to limit myself to 5 because I want to try to go faster with these lists, Adam. I just love too many. But
also,
I think he's the clear one.
I'm confused. You mentioned 90s. LT never played in the 90s. He got drafted
you
in
sure?
01. Are you sure you're talking about Marshall Faulk?
No, I was in Peyton Manning. That's why his stats were
Okay,
wrong.
I was scared. Yeah, 49 touchdowns. LT definitely.
You know,
did
Adam,
not
I
have
looked at him
49.
like that's not right. His was in the 20s.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I was gonna say
Ugh.
he was drafted in 01, but he did have 28.
You know, I looked at it
touchdowns
and
in
I was like,
06.
that looks like a typo. Guess what? It was a
Yeah.
typo.
Yeah,
My
he
screen
did
was
it-
blocked out.
He did have 28 touchdowns in 06, though, so that's crazy for a running back. So it's still the record, I
Well,
believe. So,
I just lost all liability. I just lost all credibility. Let's just skip
But-
past this.
but
Pretend it didn't happen.
LT's at the top of my list. Another guy I mentioned. a
Lawrence
guy-
Taylor?
Yeah, that one definitely. If we're doing all time, he'd be near the top of my list. But another guy I mentioned MVP, Adrian Peterson.
That was so. My list, I had LaDainian Tomlinson because of his 49 touchdowns. Just incredible. Probably the worst moment I've ever had on
Didn't
this
even
podcast.
mention his 55 he had in 2013.
I know. But number 2 I had was Adrian Peterson, because he was the guy that when I was really into football, he was like, when I was first coming in, he was at the top. Then beyond that, I had 3 guys who are more recent that I want to include that like I personally have like seen their greatness each year. Whereas LaDainian Tomlinson is more like a myth. Christian McCaffrey is not the wrong guy. Derrick Henry,
There you go.
Saquon, and then McCaffrey were the 3 that I had like seen. They've been great. Saquon probably had the best year of those guys.
Yes.
Probably not the best career, but talent in that one year. Derrick Henry has been the only real old school running back that we've seen in the 2020s, at least, in the end of the 2010s. And McCaffrey, I think I just had a list because he's the best pass catching running back. I think we've seen him in Kamara, but Kamara was more of like a dump off guy. McCaffrey's like legitimately just like an absurd athlete who, his passing game changes their offense.
Yeah. Marshall Faulk, end of 90s, so he's not going to be in this conversation, really. Chris Johnson was...
Yeah.
2000.
Marshawn Lynch, too.
Yep, Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch doesn't have, like, the overarching numbers. Like, he didn't have, like, the big, like, 1,900, 2,000-yard season.
No.
But, like, CJ had it.
He just would have a play.
Oh, yeah.
Where, like, no one could do that. Like, the one against the Saints where he broke
most iconic run ever. Yeah, he has the most iconic run ever, so it's definitely up there. Yeah, I had Derrick Henry. I think he's the best of the 3. That's hard for me to say because I love my boy Saquon Barkley.
I think his just stats are, like, genuinely way different than everyone else's.
Yeah, and if we want to mention some guys. Tiki Barber had a good career in New York. Gotta mention Fred Taylor. Love Fred Taylor. Jags legend. Same with Maurice Jones-Drew. I'll mention
Reggie Bush.
If we were talking college, Reggie Bush would be on this list.
My favorite guy.
So there's a lot of guys that have had really good careers.
Frank Gore probably defined the...
Frank Gore longevity. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Frank Gore is definitely up there. For me, I don't really count Super Bowls. Like, they don't weigh a lot for me for non-quarterbacks. Yeah, like non-quarterbacks, I think it gets weird. So I'd have LaDainian Tomlinson. Do you agree with that as our running back, or do you?
He should be the number 1, especially for his 49 touchdown season.
All right, so we'll put LT as our running back. So far we have Tom Brady at quarterback. What a surprise! And LT at running back. So let's go to receivers. We'll take 2 here, Chris. This is interesting because receiver really gets us into the peak versus longevity conversation because there's a lot of guys who've had insane peaks, insane seasons at the receiver position over the last 25 years, but haven't had the long careers maybe you're looking for.
I think there's a clear top 2 that you have to pick, but there's probably 5 more guys that I think you would also have to pick. So this is really tough. I think Calvin Johnson, the way he was actually able to catch the ball over anyone was absurd. He has the record for most receiving yards in a season. He probably had the highest peak of any of these guys, highest peak of any of these guys. He like retired at what, 30, 31?
Yeah.
He was
so
didn't have the longevity. He probably like was just so naturally gifted. Whereas a guy like Julio Jones, I think, was probably the most perfect receiver. But you know what? He wasn't Calvin Johnson's gigantic size that in the end zone called a touchdown every single play. So Calvin, I think, has to be 1. Do you have him as one of your top 2?
Yeah, he's definitely up there. He was going to be in here. I have 4 guys listed, but Calvin Johnson was definitely going to be one I would keep if we're taking 2. He's phenomenal. One of the most talented receivers the game has ever seen. And he should be on there just for the one play. It's weird this always happens against the Saints, but the play where he was lined up on the line of scrimmage, there were 2 guys literally playing press coverage against him.
Adam, every single video on YouTube of like teams' best plays ever, they're always against the Saints. Best plays of the season, blah, blah, blah. It's always against the Saints. Drew Brees, like 2 of the most defining plays of the century, of the quarter century. Number 1, Minneapolis Miracle. It might be up there.
Yeah.
Probably the craziest ending against the Saints. Drew Brees did nothing wrong. And then the next year, followed up by the no call, one of the most like biggest plays that I can remember as well. So it's always the Saints, and it sucks. But yes, continue.
Yeah, so it's just that one play alone. The goal line fade statistic is still astonishing. Like the fact that he caught like 50% and no one else catches more than like 10.
I think he's at like probably, well, his was like above 50.
Yeah, and like
and then Mike Evans is like a little bit below him, and then there's a huge gap.
Yeah,
It's probably like Calvin Johnson, Mike Evans, probably just below 50. Then everyone else is such a small amount that when they try it, it's so stupid.
Yeah, it's just like I know it was always you got Moss, but then Calvin Johnson just like did it every play. So I was like,
well,
cool.
That leads me to the next one, Adam. I feel like Randy Moss is probably like the biggest name on here.
Mm-hmm.
I personally just think Julio at his best, Julio Jones was probably like
okay. Watch what you're gonna
my
say.
favorite to watch. Even though it was a Falcon, it killed me. But I was like, wow, this guy is like perfect in every sense. But Randy Moss, you literally has a phrase like you got mossed. So like, I don't know.
Julio's actually not on my list.
That's insane. That's insane to me.
Because first of all, that wasn't that long. It was not that long. He didn't do it that long. Second of all, I had a guy you didn't even mention yet, which is Larry Fitzgerald.
He's on my list.
Man, like Larry Fitzgerald, you talk about longevity, doing it for a long time, has iconic moments, the catch in the Super Bowl. Like, he has a bunch of them on here. So
didn't equate to a win. He's a loser. He's a bum.
Yeah, Julio Jones equate to a win?
You know what? I feel like Julio Jones was probably just perfect age to where, like, since I could remember football, like, clearly he was
drafted the year you would have started watching. Yes, so
I mean, I was watching a little bit before, but I wasn't understanding the game, following it every year, especially for fantasy. So, like, his second year, he was basically a beast all the way until what 2019 was his last full healthy season. Yeah. And after that, he was still good, but then some injuries, and then it kind of starts to fall off. I think Julio, especially in that Super Bowl, felt like the only thing they could do in offense. Randy Moss would probably be my pick. I respect Larry Fitzgerald. I understand why he's there. You have to have him on the list. Other guys I just want to mention. Antonio Brown was probably the best receiver for a 4 or 5 year stretch to me. I had him in fantasy many of those years, and I just thought this guy was absolutely electric and amazing. Justin Jefferson, probably on the best start that we've seen. Probably not going to keep up with J.J. McCarthy. DeAndre Hopkins, who I feel like isn't a very flashy pick, but everyone knows he's great. One of the best hands. And then I had Tyreek Hill. I just want to mention, not the best receiver, but the fastest, one of the most exciting that we've seen, and probably a lot of people's favorite receiver.
Andre Johnson needs to be mentioned. Andre Johnson's your favorite receiver's favorite receiver. That's what all the receivers said. They love Andre Johnson. There's some other guys.
Michael Thomas.
Yeah, Michael Thomas. Cooper Kupp had one of the best individual seasons.
He did. Jamar Chase also won a Triple Crown. I also want to put Jamar in terms of the Justin Jefferson tier. I don't really think Jefferson and Jamar Chase are I think they're in the same level.
Yeah. Devontae Adams has been uber consistent. Adams,
another D-Hop guy where it's I feel like most receivers are divas and very flashy. And then you get a DeAndre Hopkins or a Devontae Adams and even Julio Jones a little bit where just I'm really good at football.
Steve Smith Sr. was insanely good. So there's been a lot of them. I'd probably go Randy Moss and Calvin Johnson. A lot of Randy Mosses did happen in the 90s, late 90s. Was drafted in 97, so he had that big rookie year. The picture everyone shows from the Cowboys game on Thanksgiving, that was in the 90s. Yeah, the 3 for 163 and 3 touchdowns.
I will pick.
But I was going to say Randy Moss's probably his best season happened in the 2000s. It was the 07 year when they went undefeated. So
the right pick is probably Randy Moss, but if you actually take out those 90s, I would probably then go with either Julio or Antonio Brown.
Not even Larry Fitz. You're not even going to go Larry Fitz. First ballot Hall of Famer, getting in this year. But
I think Antonio Brown just statistically would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer.
We didn't even mention T.O. We didn't mention T.O. Terrell Owens.
I did not. Sorry. There's too many. There's too many.
That guy could play. We'll stick with Randy Moss.
Fine.
Calvin Johnson, Randy Moss. They can't yell at us for taking those two.
I'd probably pick Julio second, but I think highest peak would be Antonio Brown for me. Besides Calvin.
All right. So no longevity for you.
Also, shout out OBJ. All right, next one, tight end.
OBJ.
The most iconic play of the quarter century.
Well, yes, but
that's why I have to shout him out. When you think of receivers, he's going to be one of the faces, even though he wasn't statistically one of the best, but he was really good.
Oh, hell.
All right.
We're talking about all these great statistical receivers, and we go one catch guy.
Okay, he was more than a one catch guy.
Can we shout out David Tyree?
I was going to say there's a clear difference between them because Odell was electric and
he had some good years. He was
Yeah.
only good for about 4 years. If he would have
Yeah.
stayed healthy and won the Super Bowl MVP, it would have been an interesting conversation with him.
You know, he did on the Rams. He was their X factor
Yeah.
against the
And then
against
he
the
got
Bengals.
hurt, and then Cooper Kupp went off.
Yeah.
So
All right, tight end. I think this is the clearest 1, 2, and then you could say 3 for respect reasons.
yes,
But Kelsey and Gronk are the 1, 2 when it comes to this
Yep.
any GOAT conversation for tight end.
hmm
Tony Gonzalez played the position for a long time, was very good at that position. He's not Travis Kelsey. He's not Rob Gronkowski.
Yep, couldn't agree more. I think they're the clear 1-2. Shannon Sharp was in the '90s, so we don't even have to mention him.
Kittle also great.
Not in that tier though.
Not in that tier.
Yeah, he's not in that tier. But he had a great year. Jason Witten's statistics are really good.
Yeah.
For the Cowboys. But I'd probably lean Gronk.
Yeah.
I think, just what he was able to do. I think, Kelsey and Mahomes were on there, like, nearing that era, but, like, Gronk and Brady was, like, the best 1-2, like, connection maybe we've ever seen. The Super Bowl performances. So I'd probably go Gronk over Kelsey slightly. Plus, like, Gronk, weird, we never saw him really, really regress, because, like, he was always at his worst, just a big red zone threat. And we've seen Kelsey last couple years take a slight step back.
Yeah, I would just say about Gronk, like, he usually just had, like, injuries towards the end, but, like, we never saw him play poorly. Even on the Bucks, he came back, it was great, and even the Super Bowl. Kelsey, we're seeing it, the last 2 years probably. I mean, I would say probably Kelsey, you could argue, had a better career, just in terms of, like, every year Kelsey's been reliable, like, statistically, just the same guy, basically. Gronk, though, Kelsey has said this, Gronk is a better blocker.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
probably a better overall tight end. Kelsey might just be a purely better pass-catching tight end, but obviously there's more to the position than that, and Gronk was also great at pass-catching as well. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like, Gronk couldn't do that.
Yeah. Any other tight ends you want to shout out? We'll take Gronk here, but
Antonio Gates was really good.
Aaron Hernandez.
Nope. Jimmy Graham for a very small stretch was great.
Yes. Yeah. Jimmy Graham was good for a short. Mercedes Lewis played forever.
Yeah.
Trey McBride. He could get there eventually.
Adam, I said at the beginning of the year I love that man, and he just validated all of my things.
Yeah,
But
McBride and Bowers. Bowers got to stay healthy, but like those two could be entering a conversation just because of the statistics. Especially tight end numbers are going up because they're more used now, especially in the passing game.
all right, well, that's all of our offense, but actually no, we have to do offensive linemen. Adam, I don't care about offensive line. I'll say Jason Kelsey just because he was there forever and was very good, and that's the main offensive lineman who I want to give credit to, but you could give me your actual pick. That's better than mine.
Orlando Pace is who I was going to take.
Okay.
Zach Martin was really, really good for the Cowboys for a very long time. Jason Kelsey was on my list. Also, I had Joe Thomas, who like never missed a game for the Browns.
Yeah.
That dude played for the Browns in the worst time played for the Browns. He was like the only consistent player on the Browns. Shout him out. That's what we have to do. That guy had to deal with a lot of losses.
Andrew Whitworth, great Amazon.
Whitworth's good. Now he's on Amazon, so we can give him a lot of credit. But I think Orlando Pace, I think he was the number
Michael
one pick.
Orr.
Yeah, Michael Orr. Yeah,
Got a whole movie after him.
Yes, he did. But Orlando Pace was the offensive lineman on The Greatest Show on Turf. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's a sensational offensive lineman. Some of it happened in the 90s, so you can hold against him, but he is on the 2000s All-Decade team. So I would lean him. I think Jason Kelsey, probably the best center. I think Zach Martin's way up there as well, but I would lean Orlando Pace. Trent Williams as well. Another guy who's been doing it for a really long time.
He's also just so gigantic. It's just pretty funny to watch.
Lane Johnson also doing it for a really long time in Philadelphia. All right, now we'll go to the D-line, Chris, and this one pretty easy. So we're using edge rushers separate. So this is just D linemen, and I think it's
mostly
undisputed.
Because we have a Tom Brady situation at defensive line.
Yeah, and we wanted to make sure that Aaron Donald didn't get bumped out by any edge rushers. So Aaron Donald is the defensive lineman.
Yeah, he's not like the edge rushers get all the attention, but we all know Aaron Donald's probably like top 3 all-time defensive players. It's probably Lawrence Taylor, Aaron Donald, and you could throw anyone else in because there's like a whole bunch of guys, but Aaron Donald's probably in that tier. But he didn't play as position where he's getting the most pressures on the quarterback like an edge rusher would. But he was probably the biggest wrecking ball in the interior defensive line that we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's definitely up there. Phenomenal. He's the best defensive tackle we've seen. Probably the only one in those conversations, like Mean Joe Green. Warren Sapp, I think, sometimes lined up inside, so I think he could be in that conversation. But like Aaron Donald's one of the greatest to ever do it, so he's absolutely the defensive lineman. So
every year he was like number one of like all the players voting. They all know.
Yeah, so everyone knows how good he is. Now we'll go to edge rusher. Like I said,
Yep.
Sorry, we don't have much to say about Aaron Donald. He's that good. You know who he is, so we don't have to sugarcoat it. So edge rusher, there's a lot of guys. This has been, especially because the art of the pass game has really kind of grown, so the edge rushing position has been more and more valuable. So there's a lot of guys we could go here, Chris. We've had the all-time sacks record guys in this list, and Michael Strahan,
TJ Watt.
Yep, TJ Watt's tied for that record. His brother JJ Watt finished second in MVP voting a year. Myles Garrett, of course, might break the record by the time our next episode comes out. So there's a lot of guys we could go here, Chris. Who do you want to shout out here as we make this discussion?
I think if Myles Garrett gets the record this next week, I'll give it to Myles Garrett as the face of the, edge rushers for this decade. You could probably honestly give 2 edge rushers, but, I would say Myles Garrett if he gets the record. TJ Watt, I wanted to shout out because I feel like him and Myles Garrett have always been like up there, but I feel like Myles Garrett probably a little bit better. Strahan, as we said, has the record and tied for it. And then JJ Watt, JJ Watt's peak, I think, is higher than anyone on this list.
Yeah, that 2014 season was insane.
His peak was the best defensive player that I've seen for 1 year, but there is something to doing it year in, year out. I wish Myles Garrett was on a better team so we could see it every week, but fortunately we don't.
Also, a shout out Von Miller. Von Miller has been sensational. And he's
I always have trouble with linebackers who are also edge rushers because it's like a weird blurry line because like we know they're edge rushers, but it's not really a defined position. It's real more defensive end, but now it's line. I don't know.
Yeah, Von Miller played before they I think officially created the edge position.
Yeah,
so he had to be lined up as an outside linebacker in a 3-4 system. So because the outside linebacker becomes the edge rusher in the 3-4.
Yeah.
So he had to be listed. Now they just say, well, they're edge rushers. They've added the position for the guys. So.
Von Miller, I would say if we could consider him a linebacker, I might have him 1. But this guy I have at linebacker, I just love.
I think you and I have very different linebackers, by the way. Just gonna say.
I honestly don't even think mine was the best. He didn't have a long career. I just was like, when this guy was playing on defense, I was actually very fun to watch.
So who do we want to give edge rusher to?
I'm good with. Are you fine with Myles Garrett? Do you have anyone else?
I'm fine with Myles Garrett.
Right, let's give it Myles. If Myles doesn't get it, the sack record though, then
we'll reconvene.
We'll reconvene. But I think he'll get it.
All right, linebacker. Talk about your linebacker, Chris.
I have Luke Kuechly. On the Panthers, they actually did reach a Super Bowl with him, so he had real success. We saw him in these great games. One of the smartest defensive players that we've ever seen in terms of ability to see a play and call it before it happens. Now he's actually on TV talking on some games, and he's calling plays out like Romo does, except Romo's a quarterback, so we expect that. Now from Kuechly, who is probably my favorite defensive player just because what he did with his mind I thought was really fun to watch. And he, played the Saints every week, which was annoying, but it was incredible to watch.
Yeah. Luke Kuechly was on my list. I don't think I'm going to let us pick him. He didn't play that long.
You know what? That's fair, Adam. But he was my favorite to watch.
Shout out Brian Urlacher, who was phenomenal for the Bears. Shout out Bobby Wagner, who's been doing it a long time. But the guy we have to pick, it's Ray Lewis. But it's Ray Lewis. Maybe the greatest middle linebacker of all time. It's Ray Lewis.
I don't know, Adam.
2 Super Bowls. 2 Super Bowls. Greatest defensive unit of all time.
I just don't like him.
I know you don't like him, but I don't think
he
him
was
either.
that great of a guy off the field.
Well, no, he was not.
And he started in 96, so he had some years where he wasn't.
Yes, but his greatest year was in 2000 with the greatest defense of all time. He was the anchor of that defense. He is the guy you remember from that defense. And then he won the Super Bowl in 2011.
I don't think he's that nice of a person.
Well, he is not. I didn't say he was. I just said as linebackers are concerned.
I don't know.
I think we have to take Ray Lewis. I just don't think we can live without Ray Lewis in our. Another guy, Patrick Willis, was phenomenal. for the Niners too. Patrick Willis was.
Ray Lewis
Really?
is the right choice.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
like
really-
Luke Kuechly a lot better. I do.
Luke
But-
Kuechly is my personal like guy, so I'm picking him and me. But the answer is Ray Lewis.
Yeah, like I would love to take Luke Kuechly. If Luke Kuechly played 5 more years, I think he would be the pick. But he just had to retire early because of concussions. It's kind of
Yeah.
sad.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
but we have to take Ray Lewis. I like Luke Kuechly better too. I love Luke Kuechly. I think
Alright,
he's really
fine,
smart.
Fine.
Corner, I think there is a clear one here. I think there is.
Who is it?
Darrell Revis.
Oh, okay, that's who I also had.
Yeah, I think he's a clear one. This all quarter century team. Guys, shout out Richard Sherman.
I had Richard Sherman, and can I tell you my other guy that I had pointed
Sure.
out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Adam. Let me pull it up on my phone because my phone turned off. I had Jalen Ramsey, Richard Sherman, and then, as you said, Darrell Revis. Here's my issue: is like when I'm looking at positions, it's very hard for me to like because there's different safety positions, so I don't really know how you feel. I'm just listing or cornerbacks, like they're all kind of blend together. But
Yeah. For corners, I go like you're going mano-y-mano, like
Yeah.
safeties lurk across
that's
the middle.
why I had Darrell Revis and Jalen Ramsey and Richard Sherman because
Yeah.
like we know.
Yeah. Another guy I had, Jalen Ramsey, of course. Richard Sherman, Patrick Surtain II.
Would you say okay? Okay, yeah.
Only because he won Defensive Player of the Year. There aren't many that have won
Richard
Defensive
Sherman
Player
called
of the Year.
himself Defensive Player of the Year, and I feel like that was the smartest marketing move he could have ever done.
Yes, because now people actually think he actually won
Yeah,
it. But
that's
yeah,
I'm
so-
good with Darrell Revis because I think when he
Yeah.
was at his best, we were like, oh, okay, there goes that guy's just not catching the ball today.
Yeah, Revis Island was a real thing.
Yeah.
So, in that 2009 season, I believe it was, man, he was, he was disgusting.
Yeah.
Safety, I think there's a clear top 2.
Here's my problem with safety. I feel like all the best ones were in like the early zeros.
Yes,
I have to
they
keep-
were.
I have to keep looking up what year they started,
Back
which is what I'm doing right now.
Back when you could kill somebody. Yeah, that's
Okay,
when the safeties were really
So,
good.
My pick that I first thought of immediately is Troy Polamalu. I think he was one of the best at probably like getting to the quarterback.
That
you know
is
what I mean?
true.
Maybe-
He was a pass rusher.
Yes, but he was a safety.
Yeah.
So I think he was probably the most iconic for me. He started in 03, went to 2014. That's 11 years. However, who's the best safety, Adam? I would say Ed Reed.
It's Ed Reed. Yeah.
It's Ed Reed.
Ed Reed's so good. I think he's the greatest safety of all time. He's that good. And he was special.
Where
Um,
I honestly don't even remember this team that well. Cam Chancellor on the Seahawks didn't play for long. He
Bam
was a
Bam
safety.
Cam. Oh, yeah.
He was a
yeah.
safety, right?
Yeah, Bam Bam Cam killed
I
people.
also wanted to mention him because he was one of the anchors on the Legion of Boom.
I'm gonna mention maybe one of the scariest safety that's ever played, Brian Dawkins,
Okay, yep.
Agent Zero.
I also wrote down Earl Thomas.
Yeah, Earl Thomas. Eric
Him
Barry
and Chancellor were really good on the same team,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Eric Berry. I wanted to shout out. He beat cancer. Love Eric Berry. He was also really good, but like he beat
Yeah.
cancer. So like he did stuff off the field too that was sensational and played after beating cancer. So shout out to Eric Berry. But yeah, Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu was scary.
I think Troy would have to be my second pick.
Yeah, probably. But Ed Reed, I think is like I said.
Ed Reed is the best choice.
I
I think
consider him best safety
could we
ever,
consider
so.
him for he did punt returning, right? Not kick returning.
Ed Reed?
Mhm.
I don't know if he returned kicks or not in the NFL. I don't know.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I
We'll get
know
to
he was a
specialists.
good returner, but I forget if it was punts or kicks. You know what? Here's my thing. Or maybe it was just pick sixes. You know, Adam,
He did
when
do
it
a lot
comes
of
to
pick sixes.
defense, when
Yeah.
it comes to defense, I don't pay attention unless they are really, really good.
That is true. That is true.
Okay, no, it was an interception. I'm sorry. I watched a whole compilation of Ed Reed doing pick sixes, and I couldn't remember if they were punts or if he just picked them off.
No, he ran a lot.
Just picked them off.
He ran a lot. All right, and then lastly, specialist. Chris, I think we got to start with the guy who has the most points in the history of the NFL, and that's Adam Vinatieri,
Yeah.
who also has two. Who also I heard someone make this argument the other day. Without Adam Vinatieri, what is Tom Brady?
That's a good point, Adam.
Because if he misses the kick against the Raiders and they lose in the Tuck Rule game, is Tom Brady even the starting quarterback the next season? That'd be an interesting conversation. And then, of course, he made the kick to win Tom Brady 2 Super Bowls. So Adam Vinatieri's up there, definitely.
He's probably. I just feel bad for kickers because it's a different era now for field goal kickers where they could just drill it from deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
They do stuff different with the balls. They are practicing from deeper and deeper.
Mhm.
So guys like Vinatieri, who had all these points, they weren't kicking 70-yarders, but they were still really good.
Yeah. And also the extra. That's why it's the iconic moments, like
Yeah.
win the Super Bowls twice.
Unfortunately, when I think of kickers, I think of Justin Tucker,
Yeah.
and that ended terribly. But before it ended terribly for off the field and on the field, he sucked his last year, especially.
He did. I think it cost him the record for most
It did.
accurate.
Before that, he was the most accurate kicker and could kick from deep.
Yeah.
Probably the best kicker, like purely just like, hey, go out there and kick a 60-yarder. I'd probably pick him. Then didn't end great, and I also don't want to pick him because not a great dude, so I'll pick Vinatieri.
Yeah, now all is not just his accuracy record, but also Cam Little broke his longest kick
field
ever
goal
record.
kicker, yeah.
So
That's also probably going to get destroyed. So
yes, it will. Someone's gonna make a 70-yarder at some point. And then another guy to mention, Devin Hester.
Yeah.
Most punt and kick return touchdowns. So he's sensational. But I'd have to give it to Adam Vinatieri. When you have the most points and you won 2 Super Bowls because you made a field goal, I feel like we have to break the tie for the guy. So
I would also like to mention this guy is at cornerback. It's a little late for that. But Tracy Porter probably had the greatest 2 games that a cornerback could have.
yeah, Vikings and then the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he gets the clinching interception against the Vikings.
Brett Favre.
Yeah.
You kick a 52-yard field goal. Go to the Super Bowl. This isn't Detroit, man.
Tracy Porter, though, ends that game, wins it for the Saints. Super Bowl, the Colts are marching back to try and score and get back in it. And Tracy Porter picks 6, and the game goes from Colts about to come back, and then it's like, nope. Tracy Porter picks 6, Saints win.
Yeah.
Probably the greatest. If you could pick any cornerback's career, I don't know, Adam. I'm not saying he was the best. Just saying I would take having like the city of New Orleans owes that man like a Super Bowl ring. Like he got them the Super Bowl at cornerback.
So would you rather have that, or would you rather have, now obviously the accolades are similar, does have a Super Bowl, but would you rather have Richard Sherman's Crabtree speech after a game? Because that's
I would rather be Tracy Porter, and Sherman
everybody knows who Richard Sherman is, though, now.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who
But
Richard
Tracy
Sherman
Porter is a hero to the city of New Orleans.
Yes. But every football fan knows who Richard Sherman is. Just,
and you know what? Most of them probably hate him.
Receiver like Crabtree, that's what you got to get. Yeah, he doesn't like Duval, so I'm not a big. He won't acknowledge Trevor
I don't
Lawrence.
think Richard Sherman is going to. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of cornerbacks that talk a lot.
Yeah.
There's not many that I think of when I think of like iconic plays.
Jalen Ramsey talks more than any of them.
He does. Jalen Ramsey was smart because at quarterback you don't get a lot of attention. So he came out and said all these quarterbacks are bad and trash. Got everyone mad at him, and then people realized he was good. So
because then he started backing everything up, and it's like, oh, this guy's
legit. Yeah. Well, I think that's our whole quarter-century team.
I can list it off here. So we have Tom Brady at quarterback. LaDainian Tomlinson at running back.
Yeah.
Our receivers were Calvin Johnson and Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Tight end was Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah.
Offensive lineman was Orlando Pace. Defensive lineman Aaron Donald. Edge rusher Myles Garrett. Linebacker Ray Lewis. Corner Darrelle Revis. Safety Ed Reed. And our specialist, was Adam Vinatieri. So that is our all quarter century team for the last 25 years.
I think every one of those picks is right. The only one that actually made a little bit of is the edge with Myles Garrett. Just because is he the only...
He's the only current player.
He's the only current player.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. And you know what? That one could change.
Yes,
depending on this week.
It could change.
I don't like the extra week, because now if he breaks the record, he can actually break it.
Yeah.
But I also will say the Steelers were like, we're not.
Triple teaming them.
Yeah.
Aaron
I actually
Rodgers
respect that from the Steelers, but it's also annoying.
Well, do you know why they did that? It's all because Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to be Brett Favre. He gets compared by him too much, and he was afraid because Strahan sacked Favre, and he didn't want to have a Brett Favre moment.
You know what? That's a good point. Strahan doesn't even have the record because Favre gave him a sack.
Yeah, he laid down.
Yeah. So if you think about it that way, it's really TJ Watt's record. But I remember TJ Watt's final sack was like...
Yeah. No one remembered. Like they said, the only reason people remember Strahan's sack is because Favre laid down. Like if it was just a normal sack, people probably wouldn't remember as much. But Favre laid down for him. So
yeah.
All right. So let's go to the 2020s. I think we do this quick in the NFL. We don't have to spend too much time with this. The quarterback.
Yeah. Let's do it really quickly here because
quarterback.
It's been a while.
Patrick Mahomes. I think that's.
Yep. I would also say Josh Josh Allen's probably been my favorite quarterback, but the answer is Mahomes.
And Lamar's has the MVP. Only one if we go with 2020. So it does
Well,
cut
that's
out.
what it was. Josh has
Yep.
one, Lamar has one,
Yep.
Mahomes has one.
Yep. So, Patrick, hey, Brady had that Super Bowl in 2020. So, hey. But running back, so we have Derrick Henry, CMC, and Saquon.
I'd go Derrick Henry. He's been the most consistent out of all of them.
Yeah.
McCaffrey had, I think, 2 injured years in there. Derrick Henry's this has been his worst year, and he's still been very good.
And I think Derrick's 2,000-yard season is still in this decade. I believe it's in the 2020.
Well, he had it last year, right? Or no?
I don't think he might have got to 2,000 last year.
Because
I know he
last
got
year,
to a Tennessee. So
let me look it up because that's a very important detail. Because I think he did, but Saquon also did it and did it by a lot
Saquon
more.
was close to the record and probably could have set it if he would have played the last game of the year.
Yeah, but I also respect that he didn't because, like,
Yeah, won him a Super Bowl, so he's not
All
complaining.
right, rushing. I'm sure I'm on Derrick Henry, so I don't see 49 touchdowns.
That's good.
I don't want his game log. What is this? No, I want.
Go to his Pro Football Focus. Come on.
I'm on his Pro Football Focus. Okay, rushing yards. He had 1,921.
I thought he was short because I thought we would have
But
heard a lot more about
in
2020.
2020, he had
So
2,027. In 21, he only played 8 games. That was his first ever injury. But
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put Derrick Henry. 4 of the 5 years, he's been a beast. So
I'm cool with Derrick Henry there. Saquon had injury years also in the 2020s. So.
yeah, and he wasn't good some years.
And
Honestly, he
McCaffrey-
wasn't great.
And McCaffrey missed all year last year. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm good
All
with
right, so we'll go with Derrick Henry. I just want to make sure his 2,000-yard season was in the 2020s because
Yeah.
that is important to this.
Yes.
All right, wide receiver. You want to take 2 again? Just like we
Yes.
did with the. All right.
Yes.
So we've already mentioned we're probably taking Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
And then we go to the second one. Are we taking his college teammate as well? Are we going to take Jamar Chase with him, or are we going to take someone else?
I think the only one you could argue is Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. He had the big year in Miami.
His 1 year was honestly, I think, better than anyone's.
What about
Actually
Cooper
Cooper Cup.
Man.
But I would say when you look at Cooper Cup, Jamar Chase was also had the
Yeah.
Triple Crown. I'll give it to Jamar Chase and I'll give it to Justin Jefferson because I think every year they've been great. I think Chase came in though in 21.
Yeah.
So
He
like
missed a year. He missed a year in this.
he
thing.
missed a year. I would like to go Tyreek. I'm just gonna go Jettis and Jefferson.
And plus, that is going to age really well.
Yeah.
That is going to.
And I think Tyreek Hill, besides that one Dolphins year, he's been
Yeah.
obviously great, but the one Dolphin year I think kind of catapulted him,
Yeah,
a little bit more so than what we'd expect. Let's see. Tyreek Hill, let's look at games. Tyreek Hill, Tyreek Hill missing this year was like Jamar Chase's, missing his first year because he wasn't in the league yet.
Yeah. So we'll go with the 2 LSU boys, the Bayou boys. Tight end, Travis Kelce. Any argument, or we're just gonna take Travis Kelce and move on?
Shout out George Kittle. That's all
Yes,
I'm saying.
George Kittle was really good. We'll give Kelce the nod for head to head. They played and Kelce won. So
Yes.
that'll be our nod there.
Kittle
Offense-
probably a better overall
Yeah.
skill set, but Kelsey is the best at his thing.
Yes. All right. Offensive lineman. Chris, I got 3 down. I'm gonna let you break the tie because I'm cool with any of them. Trent Williams.
Trent Williams. I think
Lane?
Jason Kelsey.
Yeah, I actually didn't have Jason Kelce because he missed 2 years after with retirement, so I didn't actually.
Oh my
have Jason.
God, it's been that long.
Yeah. Trent Williams,
You're right.
Lane Johnson,
Yeah,
and Penei Sewell.
I think Panay was overrated
Fair.
this year. I don't know. I just think he's indifferent. I like. Yeah, that's fine with me. Trent Williams is my pick.
Trent Williams. Okay. Yeah, I was just
I
gonna let
know
you break that.
he's old and last year though he had a lot of personal stuff. So
Yes. All right. So defensive lineman. I had Aaron Donald on here. I'm not going to pick him because he missed 3 years in this decade because he retired. So I feel like if we take Aaron Donald out, and again, we're not doing edge rushers, I feel like it's Chris Jones.
Oh, Chris Jones would be my pick. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Chris Jones is a pretty easy pick there up front for the defensive tackle position. Edge rusher, are we just taking Myles Garrett again?
This one I'm taking Myles Garrett. I'm not even questioning it. Myles Garrett.
All right. Also, shout out TJ Watt, as you mentioned, and Micah Parsons, who's had one of the best start to his career and edge rushers ever had with the first 5 seasons, 12 sacks.
Yep.
All right. So Myles Garrett will be there. Linebacker, I have Fred Warner down.
Oh, that is 100% the right pick. Yeah.
Bobby Wagner I also had down out of respect. He's played forever.
Also, Nick Bosa shout out for the edge rusher.
Yeah, Nick Bosa. Forgot to shout him out. But Nick Bosa.
No, I completely agree. Fred Warner, I think I've given a lot of credit to. He's probably my second favorite linebacker that I've seen behind. You know what? They're very different. They're very different.
Yeah, they are very different. Corner. This is interesting. Patrick Surtain's up there, but he has not played that long. He's played this. He came in with Micah Parsons, so he's played a decent amount, not that long. Jalen Ramsey would probably be the guy when you look at the overall starting in 2020. He does have the Super Bowl with the Rams as well.
I think you would have to go Ramsey because the beginning of the 2020s.
Mm-hmm.
And I think cornerbacks don't have a long, longevity anyways. Yeah. I think Surtain might end up taking it for the 2020s. But for now, you have to go Ramsey.
Yep. I agree 100%. Like Jalen Ramsey. Former Jag. Love that man. Even though he showed up with a Brinks truck and demanded a trade. Anyway, safety. I have Minkah Fitzpatrick and Budda Baker down. This is actually hard. There aren't many elite.
When I think of safeties, I'm like, all right, Tyrann Mathieu, but I don't think it was actually that good compared to just we knew his name.
Especially in the 2020s, I think.
Yeah.
Towards the back end. Minkah's been good.
Minkah Fitzpatrick was probably one of my favorites. Budda Baker's just always there.
Derwin James is always hurt, but he's really good. Kyle Hamilton has not played long enough probably to be
say Kyle Hamilton's probably going to end up as the pick, but right now I'd probably go with Minkah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was trying safeties. I was looking at the list of all the All Pros. Minkah has 2. He has 2020 and 2022, so he does have 2 All Pros at the safety position. So that was tough. And then lastly, specialist. Of course, Justin Tucker can be mentioned, but I also have Brandon Aubrey down.
I'm giving it to Aubrey. I don't want to put Justin Tucker on this list. I'm fine with that.
Could also shout out my boy Cam Little. Haven't played long enough. Neither is Brandon Aubrey, really. But if we don't want to give it to Justin Tucker, we'll give it to Brandon
Bucker
Aubrey.
Was probably one of the most,
Bucker in the Super Bowls. So that would be...
You get a game-winning field goal to win the Super Bowl.
That's true. Do we just give it to Harrison Butker then over Brandon Aubrey?
No. Bucker isn't, no.
All right. All right, so our 2020
He's been kicking the most fun of anyone.
That is true.
I would say if you want to do a return, man, I would say... Cordero Patterson at the start of the 2020s, Adam.
Yeah.
Don't count him out.
DK in his rookie year has been really good for the Titans. So
yeah. You could also probably go with on the Cowboys. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Oh, KaVontae
Turpin. Yeah, he's probably the best right now.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that ends up. But these guys usually don't last that long doing kick returns.
So our 2020s team, Patrick Mahomes, Derrick Henry, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, Travis Kelce, Trent Williams, Chris Jones, Myles Garrett, Fred Warner, Jalen Ramsey, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Brandon Aubrey. Fun fact, 2 of those guys were traded for each other, Chris. Jalen Ramsey and Minkah Fitzpatrick were traded for each other this year.
I'll also say, too, looking at this list, I don't really think there's that much of a drop-off between our all-decade quarter century thing and our half-decade team. The only real position where I'm like, is safety.
Yeah,
and no shade to Minkah Fitzpatrick, but Ed Reed was like Ed Reed.
Yeah, that is a drop off. That is a big drop off. Well, Myles Garrett, I guess, isn't a drop off. So
no, he's not. But it's just funny to me that
Aaron Donald to Chris Jones is a decent drop off.
Yeah, but I think Chris Jones also
he could hold his own.
I think Chris Jones is really just a huge benefit of his Super Bowls. He was destroying the Niners 2 years ago when they won.
Yeah.
He's so he has the Super Bowl moments. I think Aaron Donald hasn't. Aaron Donald had that last one, the sack or whatever, to win, but that wasn't I don't know. I feel like Chris Jones kind of made his stamp more in Super Bowls.
That's true. Donald only played in one, so that's kind of hinder him. All right, so now we go to the NBA, Chris, and I feel like the all quarter century team we don't have to spend a lot of time on.
No, are we going position or just best 5? I think we go position, right?
Yeah, position. I have position.
Right. So point guard, I think we both are going to have Steph Curry.
Yep, I had Stephen Curry down. I did have 3 other guys just mentioned. Steve Nash won 2 MVPs. Russell Westbrook, of course, had maybe one of the best seasons. And then Chris Paul for his longevity throughout the entire time.
I'm assuming Harden's a shooting guard?
I have Harden at shooting guard. Yes, I do. Okay. But Steph Curry.
I just want to make sure, because Harden kind of was a point guard, but listed as a shooting guard. But to me, he's a shooting guard.
Yeah.
If you're saying that, then Steph, obviously, no matter what, Steph is the point guard.
Yeah.
Chris Paul is probably the most classic point guard I could think of for the 2020s.
He's the only traditional point guard, yeah.
Yeah. Steve Nash, I feel like, is one of those guys that had his 2 MVPs kind of make people question them instead of being Yeah, we don't really. He should have even won both of them. I don't know.
Yeah, his was because he was the engine of like the team success, not statistical dominance. So it does make it interesting.
And no playoff success really.
Yeah. Yep.
Westbrook, a guy that got me into basketball, and probably why I'm talking to you right now, which is kind of crazy that it's Russell Westbrook. But at the time, he was like
2017,
insane.
man.
His records at the time were like unheard of, which was really fun. Yeah, that's really. I mean, Derrick Rose, Kyrie Irving. Derrick Rose 1 year, but like Kyrie Irving has been up there for a long time.
Yeah.
Damian Lillard, I think, has gone down, but before that, he was looking like he could just be as good as Russ or Kyrie. So I mean, all those guys.
Yep. Yeah. So Steph's gonna be our point guard, shooting guard. I think I know where we should go here.
You have to go James Harden, I would say. Actually, no, you would.
Huh?
I'm sorry, I forgot. Okay, to me, Kobe is the option. My issue is just like every time he starts in the 90s, I always see him in the 90s, so I just forget. I'm sorry.
Yes, but all 5 championships and his MVP and all his best seasons happened in the 2000s.
You got to go Kobe. You have to go Kobe. I'm sorry.
You scared me for a sec. I was like,
because to me, I always think of Kobe with like Shaq and Kobe, and Shaq is very 90s to me.
Yeah.
So like whatever, but yeah, and Kobe hasn't played in 10 years, so
yeah,
9
but
years.
no, it's Kobe.
It's Kobe.
It's Kobe.
Number 2, I would say Harden.
Yeah.
You could say Wade. I think Harden for longer has been doing it. Wade, I think, was great in his prime. He did win a championship without LeBron. He won it with Shaq, and Shaq wasn't as great as he used to be. So it was probably the best option on a NBA Finals team that won. I will say I was watching a lot of old NBA games, old Finals games especially, like the LeBron Heat teams. Wade's kind of just there.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning, I know Wade was really, it was more like a 1-2.
It was his team. It was hey, they gave him the ball against the Mavs.
In the beginning, it was a 1A, 1B.
Yeah,
it was a 1A, 1B. And then by the time they're playing the Spurs, it is just LeBron.
Gone. Yeah, his back was gone. By that
I think that kind of gets overstated, or not overstated. Just like people don't look at that when they're like, "Well, LeBron had Wade and Bosh." I'm like, did you watch him?
Yeah.
Go back and watch me. Tell me what Dwayne Wade was doing. It looks like Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and Tim Duncan were the second, third, and fourth best players in the series. And Bosh actually was great, but
yeah, Bosh played really well. Ray Allen also.
Okay, Ray Allen had the shot. Before that, I think he had 5 points. Like,
yeah. Hey, shout out, but also we're talking shooting guards, so I think Harden, Wade. Shout out Ray Allen too. Ray Allen had a great career.
I think especially he kind of gets buried on those because he was part of really big teams. But before he joined them, when he was on the Supersonics, he was really good.
And then the Game 6 when they closed out, I know Paul Pierce won Finals MVP, but he had like 6 or 7 threes in that closeout game against the Lakers in 08. So
would we say Luka's a point guard or shooting guard?
Probably point guard.
I would say point guard. I would say Luka's probably going to be like the only one that can.
He's not going to pass Steph.
He's not going to pass Steph. He's probably the one that I would pick though to become second.
Oh yeah, he could pass whoever, like we have Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook. Yeah,
he'd probably have to win 3 titles and be like definitively best player. Steph, I will say, I was never that big of a Steph fan until he won in 2022, where I feel like I was like, all right, but like he kind of just annoyed me because he was taking it away from LeBron.
Yeah.
In 2015, he didn't win Finals MVP, and then later on it was Kevin Durant who was like. The best player on the team, and Steph was obviously great, but he wasn't even playing his best. Steph's best years were after they won the finals. Then they go back in 2022. Steph is clearly the guy, clearly the engine, clearly the only reason why they're there, and they win. And then it's like, all right, now Steph kind of has his to where we know he's that. Where before he kind of had that problem of like, what finals has he taken over and been the guy?
Yeah, but 2 MVPs, 4 championships. It's going to be a lot to overcome, and greatest shooter of all time. So he'll have that.
And then Kobe was the shooting guard. Small forward.
I think it has to be Gordon Hayward.
I thought we were going to actually try okay. LeBron is clearly the small forward.
Yes.
I don't think we have to debate it at all.
No.
Here's the problem. When it comes to like power forward, Kevin Durant was like the small forward on his teams. So if you're saying if I were to make a team, I would put Kevin Durant at the 4, but he didn't actually he was always in the small forward spot. So
I would not put Kevin Durant ahead of the 4 I have. So
I know who you're picking then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Top 10 player ever. So
I honestly didn't even think of that because to me, once we'll get there in a second.
we can put him at the 5 if we want it, but then we knock out another guy. So that would be
So I would say
interesting.
LeBron's clearly 1. I would easily put Kevin Durant 2.
Yeah.
Kawhi, I would say is a small forward, not a shooting guard.
Yeah, he's a small forward. He's absolutely.
I know, like later in his career or whatever, but he was a small forward. I would put Kawhi 3rd.
Yeah, I could argue that
because he's won 2 Finals MVPs, and Toronto alone gets him 3rd. Then I could put Melo in there.
Paul Pierce,
Paul Pierce,
Paul George.
Trying
to think of who else you could really chuck in there. Yeah, so
that might be it. Yeah.
I think it's clearly it's LeBron and KD's.
There's a real good conversation for like everyone after him.
Yeah, KD's a clear 2. And then it gets interesting. All right, so power forward, it's Tim Duncan, dude. It's Tim Duncan.
When did he come in? He was in the very end of the 90s.
He got drafted
right?
in 98. So you take away 1 championship, but you still have 4 championships. You still have both as MVPs. You have the best time of his career. You have everything. He never missed the playoffs. It's Tim Duncan. One of the best defenders that's ever played the game. Like
the answer's Tim Duncan. But if I were to actually build a team myself,
well, that's different. Yeah, if we're like
playing, I actually want to pick him.
Yeah.
And also watching him is the most boring thing. It's why they call him Mr. Fundamental, because he didn't do anything besides the most simple like moves.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the right pick. I want to pick Giannis, being totally honest.
But we're not.
I think we're not. But Giannis's finals run when they beat the Suns, I think is better than any of Tim Duncan's runs. Maybe not the run, but the actual series. I think Giannis
his 03 run was insane.
I'm still picking Giannis. I feel like Giannis did more by himself.
Yeah.
Especially like Giannis's moments. I think that's just kind of we talk about Tim Duncan. I can't tell you my favorite 5 Tim Duncan moments.
Well,
but Giannis had probably 2, maybe 3 of like the most iconic plays of his were in the finals. You had the block on Ayton. You had the alley-oop that, if you look at it, the alley-oop was absurd. You know how it gets strips Devin Booker? The alley-oop was at the top of the backboard, and he's getting shoved by Chris Paul underneath him. And he literally is flying above the rim and slams it home. And then also he had the chase on block on Bridges earlier in the series. He dropped a 50-piece in a Game 6 to clinch the series. That moment, I think, deserves him. Clearly number 2 in the spot. I will fight you over Dirk. I don't care that Dirk won 1.
I wasn't going to
there longer.
I'm
saying, and Giannis defensively, in his peak time, I would think Giannis could only... It was him and LeBron in terms of the freaks of nature that could do these things, like the chase downs and jumping that high and being that tall and fast. I think Giannis, have to give my flowers to him. Tim Duncan, I think, has more actual career success because of all the finals, I guess, for this century.
Yeah.
I actually would rather have Giannis. But Tim Duncan is the right answer, and I'll allow it.
It's clearly Tim Duncan.
It's Tim Duncan. Giannis is 2. I think Dirk has to be 3.
And Kevin Garnett.
Kevin Garnett. You know what? You could put Kevin Garnett 3 and Dirk 4.
I think Kevin Garnett and Dirk's in neutral competition. I would give Dirk the credit because of the finals run.
Yes.
Dirk's finals.
Kevin Durant's tough. Kevin Garnett's tough. One of the best defensive players we've seen offensively was not, like, you can't run an offense through Kevin Garnett the way you could a Giannis. Yeah. And Dirk obviously was great on offense. On defense, that wasn't his calling card, but,
He did take that Timberwolves team to the conference finals, which honestly is impressive.
I think also, too, Kevin Garnett, I think, was a little bit earlier, so.
Yeah, he got drafted in the 90s, but like his big year was 04 when they took with the Timberwolves.
I would put Dirk ahead of Garnett, but I think Garnett is, defensively, you could argue him 3.
But it's Tim Duncan.
Giannis is 2, though.
Yes, yeah. Well, we have the 2020s list. I wonder who's going to be the 4 in the 2020s list.
I keep forgetting we did a 20s list, to be honest. I forgot about that. All right. Number 5, the center position, Adam.
This is interesting. But I think it's interesting because it depends on how much you want to credit the first 3 years of this century.
Here's my problem is we saw the end of the center position at the start of this decade, and then we saw a new wave of centers come at the very end of this quarter century, and in the middle is just a bunch of random guys that probably were good, but just the offenses weren't using them the same. I think peak Shaq has to be number 1, but I would say Jokic because it's been how many years? We would say 7 elite years, 6.
I'd probably start in 2019. So
all right, so 6 elite years. Shaq, how many would we give him?
Shaq 2000 through 2006. He was unreal. They finished second. Like, the year that they gave it to Nash, it should have been Shaq in Miami, like his first year in Miami. So
the problem with me is just the recency bias is absurd.
I mean,
I
you
would
realize
rather have.
we could just tie it. We give Shaq this one because Jokic is going to be the 2020s if we really need to.
Let's do that, but also say this: when Jokic's career is done, I'm gonna have him ahead of Shaq
Yeah, probably.
for just the 2000s.
He will probably need another one. He will probably need another
But
one.
just in terms of like what he's doing, and I know Shaq did stuff Jokic can't do, but Jokic is doing stuff that I think fits so much easier with people. Anyone could go in and play with Jokic. Shaq was a give him the ball and he's gonna knock 3 people out and break the glass.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll give it to Shaq. We'll give it to Shaq.
2000
Shaq,
Shaq 1, Jokic 2.
Yeah. Dwight Howard.
Would you have Dwight ahead of Embiid?
For career, yes. Dwight Howard's one of the 5 best big center defenders we've seen.
Embiid I struggle with because I don't actually like Embiid at all.
Plus,
but he did win an MVP. He was constantly at top of the MVP discussion.
Do we want to break the tie here pretty easily?
What?
Has Embiid seen the conference finals or the finals? Because Dwight has.
Dwight's Orlando year is by far his best, point, and I think he's his end of career stuff. He's just a serviceable big man.
And he won 3 or 4 straight Defensive Player of the Years.
You're right. The answer is Dwight. However, Embiid, I think, offensively is probably 2 on, or I guess. Embiid's
offensively, yeah. Offensively, it's a
offensively, Embiid is way better. Defensively, I know Embiid was really good, but Dwight was a freak of
Dwight in
nature.
his prime was special defensively.
But also, once again, if we're playing tomorrow, I'm taking prime Embiid over prime Dwight. But
yeah,
I would, I guess Dwight.
And do we want to include Anthony Davis in the center conversation?
I didn't even consider Davis just because he is so annoying with his injuries. Where like, if Davis just continued what we thought from 2020, he'd probably be second amongst the power forwards.
And those Pels years were good. He was good with
I'd
the Pels.
have him behind Giannis. I'm lying.
Well, yeah, he'd be behind Giannis, but
I would probably have Davis as. I guess you have to put Davis as a 4. He doesn't want to be a 5. Would you have Davis behind Dirk and Garnett?
As a talent, no, but you probably have to over like career wise.
If the NBA is doing their top 100 players ever, and let's say there's if there's 3 spots, if there's 1 spot left between AD, Garnett, and Dirk,
AD's not getting it.
I don't think AD's getting it either.
No,
I think his one finals is great, but he didn't even win Finals MVP. I know Garnett did not either with Paul Pierce, but
yeah, Dirk did. So there's the tiebreaker.
Yeah, sorry, AD. If he was healthy, I'd probably have him 3rd.
AD's one of those guys that it's not a big what if because he has played, but it's one of those where, man, if he stayed healthy the entire time. Whew.
Yeah. So center, we have Shaq, Jokic, Dwight, Embiid.
You could throw. Who would we even?
David Robinson was done by the time.
No, David Robinson was done. Yeah,
he was done.
You could.
Dikembe was at the end.
He 0-1, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean AI also we didn't really mention.
Yao Ming,
too short. Yeah, T-Mac.
T-Mac, I actually did have my shooting guards. I forgot to mention him. I actually did.
I did like T-Mac a lot.
Yeah, big what if. You could throw I'm trying to think of centers. Marc Gasol had a good run.
The Gasol brothers you could throw in.
Yeah, Powell too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the center.
DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah, Boogie for that short period of time was pretty good.
Bogut I really liked. Just the league kind of changed when he entered it, and he wasn't obviously he's not one of the all-time great centers. But just saying, Bogut I think came in at the worst time, but he was actually very good in the Warriors team.
So we ended up with
hold on. Power forward. We did not mention him. Obviously, he's not the choice, but Draymond Green.
Yeah, Draymond Green. Guess we have to mention
Klay Thompson at the shooting guard.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson's probably if I had to build a team, he's the easiest to pick because he could play with anyone. His just shooting and defense fits with anything. However, he can't do what Kobe can do.
And you're a big anti-Klay Thompson guy, aren't you? From what I've heard.
No. Klay Thompson was my favorite player who I tried to emulate the best of my abilities because I was like, I want to be able to play with anyone. Every team could use 3-point shooting and defense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need the ball. I don't even need a dribble. I just want to do catch and shoot threes. Then Klay Thompson started talking smack after his injury about his championships. I'm like, dude, you're really bad right now. You gotta,
Yeah.
That was my whole thing.
All right. So Steph, Kobe, LeBron, Tim Duncan, Shaq. Seems pretty right.
The only one that feels weird to me is Shaq, just because I feel like he doesn't feel very 2000s-y, but his three-peat, which...
All 4 of his titles came in the 2000s.
Yeah, you kind of have to. The title stuff, too, just nowadays, it's so much harder to win because of the fact that you make it so much harder for a team to build a dynasty because they don't want dynasties, they want parity. It's really hard for Jokic to win 4 because that just seems absurd now. But
absolutely. And then, of course, his MVP came in the 2000s, too. So
right. Now, let's wrap it up.
Yep, 2020s, Chris. 2020s.
Just 2020s. All right. I'm still going to go with Steph.
You're going to go with Steph over Luka?
Because you know what?
Steph really only has the one title. He missed the beginning of the 2020s. Remember, he sat out that whole year because he got hurt. And he had some years where they were like just in the in the play-in seeding.
Luka also though finished in the. He didn't like 1 year. They Mavs didn't even make the playoffs.
You have Luka's finals run. Also, there's
let me do a comprehensive Luka search.
There's also Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in this.
I'm not picking Shai. I'm not. I also honestly, to me, Shai is more of a shooting guard. I know technically he's not listed as that.
But who runs the point for them then?
I don't know. It was Giddey. He was Giddey, and then Giddey wasn't working. Then they made it Shai, and now I just feel like I'm watching Harden and like a weird Kobe thing. All right, Luka finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years in a row. He was one of the top players for. Okay, I think it's Luka. He actually finished All NBA first. I'm going Luka.
Yeah, I was surprised you said Steph. I thought this was a clear Luka here.
Here's my problem. When you think of Steph, you're like, well, he's won 4 titles, but I guess technically
we're just going 2020, so it was only one of them.
You're right. I'm gonna go with Luka. Yeah. I feel like people are gonna be mad it's not Steph, but if you just took everything in a vacuum in the 2020s, it's Luka.
Yeah. All right, shooting guard, Chris. This is actually an interesting one. I had 3 guys down. I don't know if you want to add anyone else. I had Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, and Donovan Mitchell as the 3 guys. I was trying to think of other ones, but
I mean, Harden, but by the time the 2020s hit, he wasn't the same.
No.
Well, I feel like in the early 20s is where we kind of saw this old wave go out and these new guys come in.
Yeah. Devin Booker, of course, had the finals run.
I'm leaning Booker because he had the finals run, and the next year they were a dominant regular season team. They made the playoffs the next 2 years.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think, years ago, he had 2 Western Conference Finals appearances. Last year's was completely unremarkable.
Yeah. How about this? Ant will be, but right now it's Devin Booker.
I'm going to go with Devin Booker. I think Ant, though, is higher than Booker ever was in my mind in terms of best players. But I think you have to go Ant.
Yeah. You have to go Ant or you have to go Devin
Booker? Sorry, you have to go Devin Booker.
I was going to say. I was like, oh, boy.
And my podcasting tools have not been used over a week. Big
curveball there.
Sorry.
All right. And small forwards. This is interesting. You have LeBron. You also have Jason Tatum. And then Kevin Durant are the 3 guys I had down.
I want to go Durant.
I wouldn't either, but I just put him down to have a 3rd guy.
Are we including the 2020 finals? We're counting for LeBron.
Would count. Yes, that would count.
But we don't get do we include that whole season? Because that was LeBron's best year in the 2020s, at least as a whole season.
I mean, we can. Tatum, of course, has 2 finals runs, a finals championship, first team All-NBA, a bunch.
Let's see. Let me look at LeBron. Because, once again, LeBron, it's really hard just to look at his last few years when it's LeBron. Let's see. Has he played enough games?
It hasn't been great. He has missed a lot of games.
70, 71, 55, 56, 45, 67. I don't love it. I don't love it, Adam.
Yeah, we can go Tatum. We can go Tatum to get a new name in here.
Here's my problem with Tatum. He was really fun in the beginning. Then it became kind of annoying.
Yeah.
I think LeBron's best... I would think, up to 2018, I thought he was clearly the best player in the league. I thought he reclaimed it in 2020. I've never thought Tatum has been as good as LeBron. Tatum actually is going to miss this whole year. And if you take...
We're going up to this point, though. Up to this point. Because you got to think if we're projecting, LeBron's going to miss the next 4 probably once he leaves.
We're projecting?
Well, I said if you wanted, like Tatum's going to miss this whole
Just
year.
up to this point, I
plus,
would go
if we're
with
taking-
LeBron.
But you taking Tatum missing this whole year might be better than what LeBron might show us. JJ Redick's not happy. JJ Redick's frustrated.
Listen,
JJ
I'm
Redick's
just saying, like,
upset.
LeBron misses a few games each year, but whatever, but that's the equivalent of Tatum missing, you know. Actually,
yeah, but
LeBron's only played 15 games this year.
yeah, and LeBron being on the floor hasn't been, the most ideal.
Tatum's had more team success. I'd rather have LeBron every single year, and therefore I'm picking LeBron.
All right, we'll take LeBron then. Giannis is going to be the 4, and Jokic will be the 5. No need to discuss that anymore, right?
I would just say Davis, is a good backup for the power forward position. And at the
Joel
5,
Embiid's a good
I
backup.
think, yeah, and then at the 5, Jokic now. Second would be Embiid. Third would probably be,
Okay, there's an easy third if you want to project.
if we're projecting, it's clearly Wemby.
Yep.
I think by the end of this century, it's going to be Wemby 2, Jokic 1.
Yeah.
But
Probably.
Embiid's going to get past. But, I feel bad. I feel bad just because, like, Kevin Durant, Steph, and LeBron, I feel like I need, like, all of them. But, like, because they're still playing, but they're not, they haven't been,
This isn't their
winning
decade. It's not their
It's
time
their
anymore.
decade.
It's not their
But it's
old.
tough because, like, at no point would I actually take Tatum over LeBron.
Yeah.
That's why I'm taking LeBron. But I actually think by the time Tatum was going to the finals, I actually would have rather had Tatum than
Mhm.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting. But we'll have Luka, Devin Booker, LeBron James, Giannis, and Jokic. Right off the list is Jason Tatum, and Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis. I guess Steph at the point guard, and then Anthony Edwards at the shooting guard position.
Yeah. If I guess was it 12 people? So we just had to fill out 2 more people. I would say Jimmy
SGA.
Butler and
S-
SGA.
SGA. Yeah, SGA has to be one of them.
And I would say
then
Jimmy Butler has 2
two
finals runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a small forward, but I feel like he's more of a shooting guard. But I would have peak Jimmy Butler. I think I'd even have him over Tatum.
Peak
But
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler never did it for a full season. Jimmy Butler was
Yeah.
just like in the
Couple
playoffs,
playoff runs.
walked into Boston, killed the juggernaut Celtics, and then
Mm-hmm.
left.
Yeah. So, and then, so I think SGA would have to be if we're going out of
SGA,
bench.
and I think in a few years he might even pass Luka, but I think Luka's going to get back on track.
All right, now back to the NFL, Chris. We're going to go quick here through game picks, but we'll start with upset picks. Kind of an update. We're going to the last week of the year, Chris. Chris, you cannot come back on upset picks. It is sorry. I am.
What's even the point anymore? Game's over.
I am 18 points ahead. I went 10-7 this year on upset picks.
Where did I go?
6-9-2.
Hmm.
So not bad. Neither for upset picks, it's not horrible. So my upset pick this week to see if I can get to a 50 burger. I got the Colts upsetting the Texans with Riley Leonard.
I have the Saints being the Falcons the Falcons were -3.5.
There you go, Chris. You're trying to help out the Bucks, I see.
I'm kind of confused at how Philip Rivers isn't starting.
He retired again.
I know, but like it was a lot of fun to watch him play.
Yeah, but now they wanted to see Riley Leonard. Poor Riley Leonard. He should file a class action lawsuit.
Honestly, the Philip Rivers thing was the most interesting thing at the end of the season.
Yeah, but then poor Riley Leonard gets benched for a 44-year-old man
Well,
off the side of the street, and then they're
He
like,
had,
dude,
he had like a PCL injury.
yeah, but dude, our 44-year-old quarterback can't throw a Hail Mary, so you go throw the interception. Okay. Okay. Whatever you say, coach. Whatever. Yeah,
All
all
right.
right. So now game picks. Big one. We're starting with a big one. We'll go in order. Panthers at Bucks.
Give me the Panthers.
All right, I'm taking the Bucks. I think
I
the
took
Bucks
Panthers. I would take them for the upset pick, but Saints had better odds.
Yeah. All right. So yep, I'm gonna take the Bucks here. Think they get it done. You know why? Because you can't kill the Bucks. Apparently, they've tried to kill themselves how many
True.
times this year, and
True.
they
But Adam, if the Saints beat the Falcons, it does not matter if the Bucks win. Panthers will advance.
that is true. That is true. So we'll see what happens.
That'd be the funniest outcome. Bucks win, Saints win.
That's why I
Panthers
think
win.
the Bucks need to win this game because then
Yeah.
we have a team with a losing record in the playoffs, which would be awesome.
True,
All
that'd
right.
be funny.
Seahawks Niners. This is for the 1 seed, Chris, in the NFC. Loser might be the 6 seed or the 5 seed. Have to go on the road in the playoffs.
Is Kittle playing?
I think.
He was hurt. Ricky Pearsall, I know, came back. The Seahawks got so lucky against the Rams. Give me the Niners.
I'm taking the Niners as well. You know what? This is the exact same game Sam Darnold played last year.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out for him last year, and I don't think it's going to work out for him this year.
Yeah.
So I think the Niners
Purdy
get the win.
also looks phenomenal.
Yeah, that offense is cooking. That defense is struggling, but the offense is
They just have no
rolling
one left
right now. Saints Falcons, Chris, you're taking your Saints and Tyler Shuck, future NFL League MVP.
Listen, he's leading all the rookie quarterbacks right now and like everything. Cam Ward, I think has a beat for like yards. That's because Shuck has played half the season.
Yeah.
Shuck's been really good. Give me the Saints. They're gelling right now.
Yep, I'm taking the Saints as well. I feel bad for Cam Ward. Really bad. There's no help there in Tennessee. I feel awful.
I watched some of that Mendoza game today, and I was just like, I wish he was on the Saints.
That guy can play. That guy can play. He's going to be on his way to Las Vegas, probably. And
he'll never be good with that team.
Yeah, sounds about right. Wonder who's going to be coaching them next year. Don't know if it'll be Pete Carroll. All right, my boy, Shadur Sanders is making the trip down to Cincy for the clash in the Ohio State. The Buckeyes aren't playing anymore, so this is big for the state of Ohio. Bengals, Browns. Who you got, Chris?
These games that mean nothing. I have no idea. Give me the Browns.
You're going to take the Browns. All right, I'm taking the Bengals. I'll take Joe Burrow and the boys to get the job done. Do think Myles Garrett does get the record, though, and gets the sack record, but the Bengals get the win. Bengals rolling, playing really good football at the end of the year. When it doesn't matter. Sounds about right. All right, Packers, Vikings. Packers, doesn't really matter for them. I don't know. I don't think they announced if they're resting guys or not. They're locked into the 7 seed. There's nothing that could change. So they're playing a meaningless game against a Vikings team that would, if the Packers had lost to the Cowboys, the Vikings would be playing for potentially a playoff spot here, but they're not. Who do you got, Chris?
Vikings.
Yep, I'm taking the Vikings as well. I don't think the Packers are going to try very hard. I think the Vikings will take it to get to 9-8, which
Nor Jordan Love.
Yep, no Jordan Love, and I think it'll be a good win for the Vikings to get going into next season. Cowboys, Giants. Giants could have had the number one pick in the NFL draft, but they decided to trounce the Raiders last week. Now they got to play the Cowboys.
I have not been doing a good job of keeping track on who's playing, but just give me the Cowboys.
I'm taking the Cowboys too. I'll tell you now, if the Giants win, they might boo the team off the field. I think they were pretty mad. I was at the Pinstripe Bowl, so on my way back, I was listening to WFAN, and they were praising. They're like, "Come on, just lose the game. It doesn't matter. Just lose." And they did not lose. They ended up winning. And it was all about the Jets not allowing a Long Island kicker to kick their field goal contest. New York sports radio was not having a good week. They don't have much to talk about. No. All right. Titans, Jags. Jags win. They get the division, Chris.
This is a tough one. I'm going to go with the Jags. I'll go with the Jags.
Wow. Going out on a limb there, Chris, and taking the Jags.
Jags in the must-win game against the worst team in the league.
I'm going to take the Jags as well. I think it could be interesting. Trevor, a little under the weather. Liam Cohen, a little under the weather. Could be some distractions. There's pressure on the Jags. Titans get to play, carefree football. They don't have to worry about any of the pressure. So we'll see. Maybe the Jags shoot themselves in the foot, but I do think the Jags get the win. Texans, Colts. Texans need the Jags to lose, and if they win, they would win the AFC South.
Texans.
I'm going to take the Jags. I'm going to take the Colts. They were my upset pick. I think the Colts pull it off here. I also think the Texans losing might be a good thing. And the Jags, similar way. The 2 longest winning streaks in the NFL. The Texans have won 8 straight. If they win it, make it 9. I'd have a hard time seeing, let's say, the Texans winning 13 straight games. So
me too.
Maybe losing a game would be nice to kind of reset them a little bit. Jets, Bills. Josh Allen might not be playing in this game for the Bills as they take on the Jets. Chris, will it matter?
Nope. Give me the Bills.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills too. Jets, one of the worst teams in the NFL, and they really show it. They're kind of locked into the number 3 pick, which could give them Dante Moore. Congrats. All right, Lions, Bears. Lions out of it after they've puked all over themselves here to finish. Bears have clinched the NFC North already, but are playing for the 2 seed instead of the 3 seed. They would need to win and they get the 2. If they lose and the Eagles win, the Eagles would jump them for the 2 spot.
Give me the Lions. I think they just want to be, foil for any division opponent.
Would get them a winning record, which would be nice. I'm going to take the Bears, though. I think Caleb's playing well right now. That offense is humming. I'm going to take the Bears. Chargers, Broncos. Justin Herbert's not playing.
Broncos.
Yep, me too. I wanted to take the Chargers to win this game, but Jim Harbaugh doesn't care. So Broncos get the win. Chiefs, Raiders. Big one here, Chris.
Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs too. I think the Raiders know what they want to do. They're sending everyone home. They're sitting guys. Chiefs get the win. Cardinals, Rams. Rams kind of locked into the 6th seed now after that embarrassing Monday night performance.
Give me the Cardinals.
Cardinals, attaboy. Wow.
Travis McBride, greatest tight end ever.
I'm going to take the Rams. I think the Rams maybe actually win a game they're supposed to win.
I know, but like they have nothing to play for.
That is true, but I do think I don't know. Like if they win and like the Niners lose, I don't know if they would be the 5. I don't know. I don't know how that tiebreaker works. Patriots, Dolphins. Patriots. If the Broncos would lose and the Patriots win, the Patriots could get the 1 seed. If they lose though and the Jags win, they could fall, I believe, to the 3.
Okay, that game is at 4:25.
Yes.
The Broncos game is also at 4:25. Here's my guess.
Watching. Scoreboard.
At halftime, if the Broncos are up big, Drake May's out of the game.
Yeah.
However, if there's any chance the Broncos lose, Patriots are going to kill them. Give me the Patriots.
Yep, taking the Patriots as well. Mostly because it's against the Dolphins, even though they did get a win last week. Patriots get the win. Eagles, Commanders. Eagles probably resting Jalen Hurts. They're not going to go for the 2 seed, it sounds like. But they are taking on the Commanders, who also want to lose. So,
give me the Eagles, I guess.
Yeah, I think the Eagles end up getting it done. It would be funny if Jalen Hurts doesn't play and that offense starts to hum. Boy, it would get loud in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And lastly, biggest game of the week. It's a win and end game. Ravens Steelers for the 4 seed in the AFC North, and said the loser of this game might lose their job as a head coach.
I don't want to keep picking the Ravens every week, and they let me down. But there is no way I am picking Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers week 18. Give me the Ravens to win the division. Lamar is back and he's healthy.
Yep.
I think they thought they were done going into last week. Steelers easily going to be the Browns, but the Steelers choke. The Ravens see life. Lamar comes back. They win, get into the playoffs, and next thing you know, you have Lamar Jackson back in the playoffs, which historically has not been that amazing anyways, but you still have one of the best, most talented quarterbacks, and if he's healthy, he's actually somewhat scary to play against.
Yep, I agree. I got the Ravens as well. I think if you don't kill the team when they're supposed to be dead, they end up biting you. And yeah. I think the Ravens.
And Derrick Henry is peaking right now at the right time. He had a rough start to the year, had the 3 fumbles in a row. It was weird. We didn't know why. This gigantic machine is just fumbling the ball. Maybe he's getting old and washed. He actually put together a really nice end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Capped off by last week when he had 4 touchdowns, which I think is the most anyone's had this year. So give me the Ravens.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the Ravens are going to win as well. I said it would be interesting, though. Like, imagine Lamar comes back and Derrick doesn't get the ball as much, and then we have that controversy. They just don't feed Derrick Henry. So, but I think they're going to feed him. I think they're going to run away with this game. I think there's troubles, and I think there's going to be a lot of questions about what could have been if DK Metcalf didn't punch a fan and get suspended for the last 2 games.
He didn't punch a fan. He swiped at him.
Okay. Forcefully pushed an open hand.
Yes.
Into a man's face.
And DK Metcalf isn't that strong, so probably didn't hurt.
Yeah, that's true. DK Metcalf, small boy. Small boy. All right, Chris. Fantasy football.
No, Adam. It's okay.
You're not going to do it. You're going to do it later.
We're going to put this on pause.
Okay.
The next episode we upload will be me redrafting the beginning of fantasy football with hindsight. That will be the next video that
That'll
we
be
upload.
fun.
Besides
I can't
this
wait
one.
to watch it. I can't wait to watch it.
I'm still working on the list. I actually think I have it narrowed down to 12, but I want to really spend time on it. I love fantasy football. Adam, I did 3 redraft leagues this year. The one that I lost was the most important one. It was on RT Sports. The scoring is weird, and I just suck at that league. However, in the other 2 leagues with like mostly normal settings, I won them both.
There you go.
I would like to thank Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, some of those guys that just carried me. George Pickens was great. Trey McBride was the only person I had on both teams. I wish I kept Drake May in one league, but instead I traded him for Amon-Ra. That was okay. Didn't really win me much at the end. But no, I was the 1 seed in both leagues. I won both leagues. In one of the leagues, I got lucky with the format setting. I would have lost because I had a bad week 16, but I won week 17. But in our league, Adam, I had the greatest week 16 and 17. Our friend Sketch was like, "You're playing Thomas. Good luck." Thomas scored like 330 points against me. And then I went out and scored like 360. So I just
have a big week 14, 15. You're probably not going to have a big week 16, 17.
I know. And my team was very good 14, 15. And they all popped off 16, 17. The greatest team I've ever had.
Yeah.
Just going through it really quickly. I know no one cares my fantasy team, but a team that had Drake May, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, George Pickens. I ended up playing Juwan Jennings at the end. Trey McBride, Cameron Dicker, and usually the Broncos defense, but I also rotated a lot of different things. Like the Saints defense got me 18 points. I had the Texans defense earlier in the year. Just an absolute studded team. It was called Buka Matata. I had Emeka Buka, who was starting in the beginning of the year, by the end was not. But and Jawan Jennings, who I picked up, end of the year on a tear.
Dog.
Yeah, in the beginning of the year, I always loved like Jawan Jennings, so I had him. And then he just looked bad. And then he, like was said, he had all the injuries. And the first week he looked healthy, I picked him up, and he has just been he was the worst player on my lineup each week. And it was Jawan Jennings, who was great. And the fact that he was my worst player, probably the most star-studded team I've ever had.
Yeah, that team's loaded. Could have had Trevor Lawrence, though. Best fantasy playoffs ever.
Listen, Trey McBride and, not Trey McBride, Drake May, week 17 was way better than anyone.
Yeah, but he didn't have, he scored 5 touchdowns against the Jets. Some people score 6.
And you know what, Adam, though? Drake May did it final week of the championship in our league. Passing touchdowns are boosted. So I was like, oh, this is just glorious.
Yeah, could have had Trevor Lawrence. I have to shout out to Prince. Literally the greatest playoff performance ever.
He still was on most leagues. He was in the, in the waivers to pick up.
I know, which is crazy. Literally the highest scoring playoffs ever of any player ever. Second highest also was this year. It was Brock Purdy.
Wow. Well, so Brock Purdy had a really high average points per game. He just missed a lot of the season, so he's not going to get much love, but he was finishing the year great.
Yeah, that game against the Bears, he went off.
Yeah. But no, so our next episode will be a fantasy football. It might just be me, Adam, if you're okay with that.
Probably. You don't need me to hop on. I trust you.
Yeah, so it's going to be me redrafting round 1 and then going over some lessons too, just like if you draft a Kyle Shanahan running back, it's either going to be the best decision you've ever made, or it's like there's 2 rules of don't draft your first round pick should be someone safe. McCaffrey is not safe, but McCaffrey was the best player this year in fantasy. Stuff like that, just tough dilemmas each year, and it's like, is it even worth it? Because what if you got hurt? Your league is done. Whereas I don't take McCaffrey, I go with Gibbs, I go with Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, and then those guys, maybe not McCaffrey, but they're just here, and the odds of them getting 0 is a lot lower than McCaffrey, who has double Achilles tendonitis. So, we'll see. A lot of stuff to talk about.
And something we could learn, this isn't just from fantasy football, it's just from talking about football. Don't overreact about the beginning of the season. Because I remember just about, 6 weeks ago, we were talking about how Jonathan Taylor was about to have the greatest running back season of all time because of the pace he was on.
Listen,
fell off a cliff.
If you're Jonathan Taylor, he actually scored a touchdown like 3 of the last 4 weeks. And his quarterback got hurt. It wasn't like he fell off. It was the team fell off, but Jonathan Taylor still was decent in fantasy at the end.
Yeah, I'm just talking about, everyone said he was on pace for like 2,000 yards. And then
no one's going to beat LaDainian Tomlinson's 49 touchdowns.
Nah. Putting up Peyton Manning numbers out there, baby.
I know. When I saw it, I was like, no, that can't be right.
I thought you said 28. I'm like, yeah, he did have that big year.
No, I saw 29 or something, and I thought it was 28. And it said 49, and then I said it, and I was like, trying to do the math in my head, and I'm like, there's no way he averaged like over 2 touchdowns a game. And then I looked at the top, and it was blocked out, but it still said LaDainian Tomlinson. I'm like, this can't be right. And then I was talking it through. Then like, are you sure? And then I checked. I exited out, went in. It was Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
New highlight of the show so far. Starting off 2026, great.
Yeah, just peeking. Ole Miss just had a crazy deep pass, which doesn't help me, who's made a bet on Georgia today.
Adam, I think you picked Ohio State to be your Super Bowl, or not Super Bowl, championship winner, right?
Yeah, I did.
I did not. So them losing hurt you, helps me. I picked Indiana. They were great today.
They were.
So
they were.
I might beat you in picks in a sport I don't know anything about.
Yeah, you could. Let's see. You
might be my payback for.
You did have Ohio State in the national championship, though.
No, I know, but like your cap is lower.
Yes. So a big game coming up is Oregon versus Indiana, because you have Indiana and I have Oregon.
Yep.
So,
all right. Well, I think that will do it for us, Adam. This was one of the fastest episodes we've done. The all quarter century teams for football really did us in.
Yeah, it took us. That eats up a lot of time. We had a lot of positions to fill.
Too many. Whereas basketball's like Steph, Kobe, LeBron, Tim Duncan,
Shaq. Yeah, pretty easy.
Yeah.
But we had to honor all the honor. We had to go deep on O linemen. All right, that is going to do it. Thank you for listening. Please go check out all the short form content. We continue to pick it up here in 2026. Hopefully, you keep joining us for a new year. We plan on having a lot of fun, a lot of new stuff coming up. We have a lot of great stuff planned for the NFL offseason. NFL takes up a lot of coverage here, but once the offseason hits, we'll have a bunch of really, really fun stuff planned. We'll get back into, we just did a movie stuff with Izzy. Plan to do a little bit more of that, once the offseason hits.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll plan on doing a little bit more of that. Definitely a lot more basketball talk coming up, with the trade deadline, everything coming up as well. So it should be a lot of fun. Chris, you got anything to say before we get out of here?
No, thank you, though, for a very great 2025. And, going 2026, Adam, shorts views are up on YouTube.
They are.
Stock is rising.
I know.
Going 2026, we're going to improve, at least for me, I'm improving the camera, improving the background, improving the lighting.
Dang. So is the Soto jersey leaving?
No, that'll be up.
Okay.
I will probably make myself put that up somewhere. But no, very excited for this new year, and we'll see what 2026 has in stock, but I'm very excited that we still get to talk about sports.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Have a big episode coming up. Chris, of course, is fantasy episode. And then, of course, our normal episode coming up on Monday, where we'll have the playoffs officially set. So it should be a lot of fun. Make sure to check that one out. But for my partner, Chris Reynolds, I'm Adam Sheets. We wish you a fantastic 2026, and we will see you next time.